Hey, what's up, it's mikeyperion here, and welcome back to another episode of tazzcraft SMP. So last episode, we have done our base of operation, and this place looks pretty amazing, right? Which we got high ceiling and some deckers of precious artifacts around, and we also got our stuff organized in order to make our job a bit easier, so at least we know where to look our stuff when we need them, right? So on this side right over here, we got our bulk storage areas. On that side, we got the fishes, which we got abundance of those from our extremely efficient guardian farm, and adjacent to it is still vacant, or maybe we are also going to fill them with fishes soon, I guess, or maybe some other items in the future just in case we needed some spaces, right? Well, on this side right over here, we got the prismarine blocks, which is nicely sorted. We got some sea lanterns, some prismarine blocks, and prismarine bricks, so at least, well, this is pretty accessible to our guardian farm right over there. And on this side, right over here, we also got our wood items, which is also nicely sorted. All of the types of these woods came from our tree farm right over there on the side, which is also pretty accessible, right? And on the lower level right over here, we got our not so bulked items, which is pretty much the rest of the items that we are not actually farming. So these are nicely sorted. I know we should have used a multi-item sorting system, but for the meantime, I guess this is fine, right? But on this side right over here, we also got our smeltery. We got some furnaces and some double furnaces, which we can use for bulk smelting, of course, for some glasses and some ores that we need to smelt. And on this side right over here, we got our ender chest, which is pretty much hidden in this ruin right over here. Well, basically, this is also part of the original terrain. And on that side right over there, we also got our nether portal, so at least we can easily access other places. And on those sides right over there are the access going to the top and as well as going down here. And also, we have retained these precious boat. I mean, this artifact right over here, which is pretty nice, right? So for this episode, we are planning to have to build our iron farm. But first, before we do that, of course, I also have made an access right over here because I think it's also possible to do that. On this side right over here, I'm also thinking that we can also use what do you call that? Magma blocks, so at least we can also have the same pace as what we have on the other side. So for the first part of this episode, what we need is to have an access on the sea because we need a dock in order to get our villagers that we needed for our iron farm, right? So I already have prepared some items right over here, which are pretty simple items because it's just gonna be a simple structure that we can use for docking our boats and getting our villagers inside our city, right? So well, we have a lot of tasks to do for this episode, so without further ado, let's get started. So now we already have made a space for our docking area. Well, this is just gonna be a very simple build with simple, consistent design similar to what we have for this platform. So first is we have to build the platform, of course, and some docking slots for our boats, which is pretty much the very necessary stuff that we needed for this build, right? Simple yet nice. I know we have used so much smooth stones and sea ladders, but we have to be consistent with our design here in the city platform. Of course, this is still part of it, and it will be kind of odd if we're gonna use a different design, but at least we're using different types of wood for these boats for some visualization. Yeah, I guess this is nice, right? So far, here's how it looks like, and the next thing that we have to build is the roof for this dock area, and I know we have to make it pretty nice as well, right? And that was a very quick build, so this looks nice, right? So the next thing that we have to do is, of course, to retrieve our first few citizens over there. There's a village on the side right over there, and yes, well, so I'm going to do this in the form of a short montage, so at least we have a little fun of doing this, so well, let's do it. welcome our first two citizens of Cyberperion City, the very first couple in the city. So now it's time to bring these guys to the surface, and later on we have to set up a villager marking in the middle of the roundabout, because that is where they're gonna stay temporarily, so at least they can already start breeding. So let's bring these guys up, and later on I'm going to start building that temporary shelters for these guys, and I'll be back. So now it's time to build the temporary shelters for these guys. A very basic temporary room with bunch of doors, of course. I think they like it that way. And also we are going to put some farm plots on both sides right over here, so at least they can already start breeding. So this is kind of sort of like a villager breeder in a very much humane way, because I always have compassion with any villagers in this game. Well, they're still like humans in some sort, right? And I guess our citizens are starting to like this city because this guy is already started working. So let's give him more seeds so at least he can work better. So at least he can farm more food, and later on they're gonna breed. But I guess we should get another villager, because this one is not enough. It will be that slow, maybe. So let me help him as well. So probably I'm going to search for another farmer, so at least we can boost this process up. I know there are a couple of farmers in this village, and there he goes. Well, do you want to come with me, sir, to become a new citizen of Cyberperion City? Well, let me take you home, sir. And I'm hoping your cooperation, sir. I have to take you in our city right over there. Yes, so well, I'm bringing this another farmer, so at least we can boost up the breeding process for these villagers. And yes, so well, maybe I should just go to the sea, because we already got a dock over there, right? Oh, that's kind of stupid of me, though. This could have been faster if I just well, thought of this earlier. And I also want to take this librarian home, because he got efficiency 3 and with 11 emeralds, which is, I guess, it's a good trade, right? But anyway, so at least we got more citizens in our Cyberperion City, and soon enough we are gonna get some more. Not outside, but of course these guys will gonna do their thing to breed themselves, right? But anyways, so well, let's go back to the city, and I'll be back. And I added some couple more doors. Why is this guy throwing his food though? Well, at least they already started trading, and soon enough I know they are going to breed. So well, hopefully, I hope this works, right? Well, now these guys are starting to breed, and we got this ugly little kid right over here. Well, sorry for your unibrow though. But anyways, so well, it's time to move on. So the first thing that I want to do is, of course, run that stone factory over there, because we are also going to need tons and tons of stones for today's build. But before we start building our iron farm, we are going to work on our elevator first. Like I said earlier, we are going to replace some magma blocks on the bottom part of that downward elevator that we have there. So well, let's get it on there and let's start it. So now we are going to place a magma block on this downward elevator, but of course you don't want to hurt ourselves once we have reached the bottom. So I'm planning to put up a boat, because I guess that's the only item that will prevent us from burning from these magma blocks. So I'm going to do this again in the form of a time lapse, and I hope you guys can get a glimpse of it on how we are going to do this. So now let's test this out, and yes, this should bring us down, suck us down to the bound block. But of course, we already got this boat right over here, so it will prevent us from hurting ourselves, right? Which is good, I guess. So while those villagers are starting to breed, we are going to build our iron farm. So at least the structural part, well, first we are going to build our elevator because we have to put this iron farm on the distance on above because we want it to stay away from other villager markings here in the city. So just to make it safe, so on this part we are going to have the upward, and this one should be the downward. So let me build the tube and I'll be back. So now we have stuck a boat on the downward part, and as well as I also made a nice pavement right over here, a very simple nice pavement of smooth stones. I know I've used that much, right? So now it's time to make this tube. So basically this is going to reach up to level 116 because I think that's the safest distance above that will, you know, separate this iron farm from other villager markings here in the city. Well, just to make sure. Well, I guess this is high enough for our iron farm to separate it from other villages. So, well, let's test this elevator up. And as well as going down right over here, well, it's working pretty fine. So I guess now it's time to build a platform on the top, and let's do it. And now we have done the layout of this platform. So basically this is the similar design as what we have in the new Hyperion city, the round shaped iron farm, a very humane iron farm like I always said during that episode. So basically we are also planning to make this like a bowl shape as like what we have around the city. Well, we totally like bowls, right? I don't know for some reasons, but let's check it out from afar so at least we can see this somehow in terms of like the height and the structure. So at least we can already envision on how is this gonna look like. And yeah, well, still a medal. Well, it's not as impressive as that one because this one is really a massive build. But I guess this worked fine because, of course, you have to see it collaboratively, especially if we have designed this structure with something like a bowl shape again. I'm not sure why we totally like bowls for this city now, but I guess so far this is fine. Well, soon enough we can make some adjustments in terms of like the design. Of course, we have to make this impressive and we have to make this beautiful, right? Well, this looks like a UFO abducting something from the ground. Maybe some cows, I guess. But anyway, so far, well, in terms of like the design, it's not that too impressive, I guess. But so far, it's looking good. Because I just want to have this consistent design around the city. But so far, here's how it looks like from the inside. Of course, this part is just going to be the storage area, and later we are also going to make a small water elevator right over here. Well, we're doing it now. So basically this will help us to bring the villagers on the top of this iron farm, the actual platform for the iron farm. And yes, well, let me make this elevator, and soon enough I'm also going to start making the platform on our iron farm, and let's do it. So now we have built the main platform for our iron farm. So basically this is going to be the spawning area, and on those four sides right over there is where we are going to place the doors for our villagers, and we are going to have the killing chamber in this midsection right over here, which we will kill the iron golems with lava. And on this part right over here, like I said, we are going to place some doors, 64 doors in total, in order for us to spawn enough iron golems for our iron farm. And as well as we also going to have farm plots on these corners right over here. So basically these are 4 corners of farm plots. So basically we are also going to let the villagers grow themselves inside this iron farm. So at least we are only going to put up a few villagers here, and they will just start breeding themselves. So that's the idea for this iron farm. So now we have done the rooms for our villagers, and as well as the spawning platform right over here, which has this formation or pattern that will consistently what do you call this, and why did I put the water over there now? That's a mistake. Yeah, it's fine. So basically this water flow will just eventually stop exactly on that edge right over there before the killing chamber on that midsection. Of course, we got some lava right over there that we don't want to turn them into obsidian because that will basically stop this iron farm from working, right? And of course, we are going to put waters all around, but just in the corners in order to push all of those iron golems into the killing chamber right over there. But we are going to do that later. So I guess let's continue building this. The next thing that we have to do is, of course, place some doors inside. So like I said, these are totally total of 64 doors, and later on we are also going to need to block this, but for the meantime it's just temporarily open. So let's place some doors right over here. So like I said, it's going to be 64 doors that we have to place here, enough for us to spawn 2 iron golems in total. Well, we still have buffer for that. But of course, these doors has to have a transparent block on top right over here because it has to detect as door village. So it will be marked as a village here. So many village words for that statement, but you know what I mean, right? Now we're done with the structural parts of this iron farm, and the last thing that we have to do, at least for before we move in our villagers inside this iron farm, is to place these waters that will push all of those iron golems into the middle. But somehow this is kind of tricky because when you place a water right over here, it will just have a one single line of this water flow. But if we put all waters on the sides, it will create a source blocks in this section. So basically we don't want that because it will not push those iron golems to the center, right? So the remedy for this is just to create some temporary blocks on these sides right over here so that the water will not flow going to the in single file, so at least it will scatter around. So basically we only need to put waters in these corner sections right over here, not all of the sides but only in this corner section. So basically this is just how we do this, and we are just going to do this all around this iron farm, and let's do it. And now we're done with placing these waters on all of the corners. So basically this should bring all of the iron golems that will spawn in this spawning platform. So now it's time to check things out from afar, so at least we already can see on how this is gonna look like, and so far still look like an UFO, right? That's not actually my intention. Most probably I'm thinking that later on we are also going to put some trusses in the bottom part right over here, just to make it look stable and firm and more look like industrialish. So I guess that's a good idea, but for now we have to build the killing chamber first. We almost forgot that we have to build a killing chamber, but anyways, let's go back there and let's do that. And now we're done with these killing chambers that I almost totally forgot about. But anyways, so that lava right over there will kill the iron golems, and these hoppers right over here will collect all of those drops, those irons and those red flowers, and these storage chests right over here. Of course, we'll just store those items that the iron golems will drop. So well, the last thing that we have to do for this iron farm is to move in some villagers. Of course, we are going to need some villagers in order to spawn the iron golems that we are going to need for our iron needs. So basically I'm going to move in at least 3 villagers. At least one of them is a farmer, so at least they can breed themselves inside that iron farm. So well, at least we got some more villagers right over here. Of course, they already have started breeding. But anyway, so I'm going to move in the villagers there in the form of a short montage, and let's do it. So the last thing that I want to put up for this build are these pillars and trusses because I don't want to make this look like a UFO abducting some cows. So basically, I hope this will turn out good, right? And we're gonna see that later. And now we're trying to reach these hard to reach spots of this platform right over here. I should have done this beforehand because of poor planning. I didn't know that this iron farm will look like a UFO. It's not intentional, but of course, at least we got some adjustments or contingencies for these troubles. So basically, let's put last 2 blocks, and we got also 2 blocks left, and exacto, right? So we're done here. We're done here. I know this will look good, especially that it looks industrial-ish and it looks modern. Yes. Well, somehow also futuristic, right? I don't want to put some lighting on there because somehow I already have seen it from afar because it changes the color actually. See? Right? It looks really good, right? It seems like there are not, I mean, those trusses are not like stones. Instead, they look like other blocks, right? They look more brownish on these shadows. Well, eventually, of course, you also need to build another iron farm on that side right over there. Like I said from previous episodes, we are going to have 2 of these iron farms. But of course, I'm going to do that maybe off-cam bit by bit. Of course, I don't want to, tire myself in doing just one build for something. But basically, we also need to do another one of these. But of course, I'm going to do that, like I said, bit by bit off cam. So, well, this is done now. This is done now. Well, it totally looks different with those trusses, and I totally like it. But apparently, this is the only time that I got for this episode. So, thank you for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a comment, please leave a like, and make sure to subscribe. This has been Mikey Perion, and I'll see you guys next time.